and speed applied to the most treacherous of road surfaces. That's the unique appeal of rallying. It's an appeal that'll draw 250,000 spectators on aggregate during the 4 days of the Sanyo Rally, one of New Zealand's biggest international sporting events. Along darkened forest tracks and fast pumice roads, local car club enthusiasts will measure their skills against the professional precision of the best rally drivers in the world. Drivers like Hannu Mikkola, reigning world champion, winner here twice before. West German Walter Rowe, 4 times winner of the legendary Monte Carlo Rally. Stig Blomqvist, this year he's leading the World Championship. Marco Elen, 2nd in the World Championship. Bjorn Veldegard, winner of this year's African Safari. And Timo Salonen, winner here in 1980. The machines they drive are designed and built specially for these events. The Toyota Celica Turbo, 3-litre motor, conventional rear-wheel drive. The Audi Quattro's 2-litre engines, 4-wheel drive. The reliable Nissan from Japan beside the elegant but fiery Italian Lancia. Away from the limelight, the bulk of rally entrants. Local clubmen, enthusiastic but equipped with less sophisticated weaponry. And at the very end of the line, those who pin their hope only on finishing the course.
I've been waiting 15 years to do the International, and since I saw the first one. And I was able to buy this car as a write-off. It's the only way I can afford to do it. And it was flattened, and I straightened it out myself and got it halfway there. And then everybody came in and helped me.
Adrian Landon Lane owns Car 59. Well, some of it anyway. The entry fee was put up by a firm that makes industrial rubbish bins. The safety gear in the boot was borrowed, as was the driver's seat and the navigational gear. The tyres, borrowed as well. The names of all his generous mates, including the one who lent him his driver's overalls, are emblazoned across the bonnet of the car. It's a long list.
Our servicing, the Audis are doing 1100k. Oh, we're doing 1100k of special stages. And my budget, they'd spend my budget in 10k on the thing. So for the thing, I've got about $1,200, and they're spending about 200,000 per car here, I think.
The overseas drivers with their enormous backup are certainly in a different league. Even New Zealand's highest-ranked driver, Reg Cook, accepts that.
Would you like to knock off a couple of the overseas drives ahead of you?
I'd be daydreaming if I think I've got a chance, but if I do, that'll be very nice.
Cook, heading north from Auckland on day 1, is the front runner in an important element of the rally, the race to be first New Zealander home. Driving as part of the work-supported Nissan team gives Cook a considerable advantage over other Kiwi drivers. Like Hawke's Bay farmer Malcolm Stewart. Second place New Zealander in the last 2 internationals, Stewart has again mounted this challenge without any sponsorship for his 2-litre Escort. Neil Allport, an Auckland garage proprietor, is regarded as one of the most spectacular of the local drivers. His Ford Escort, car number 12, puts up some of the fastest times for a New Zealander in the first leg. And a name from the past returns to drive car 15, a Mitsubishi Lancer. Blair Robson, now nearing 50, hasn't contested a rally since 1979, a year in which he came 2nd overall in the International. This isn't the number 6 stand at Eden Park, but a usually deserted Northland hillside. Over the 4 days of the rally, spectators will jam access roads and crowd vantage points. Previous international rally winner Mike Marshall hasn't seen crowds like this for many years.
No, this is reminiscent of the very first days back in 1970, say, when the Shell Silver Fern and those type of rallies, when rallying was a novelty, it had support like this. But now what we've got here is enthusiasts who are coming out to watch the rally.
Smack on the rally route this year, but seemingly unaware of it, is the small and rather relaxed North Auckland township of Paparoa. Hundreds of cars, thousands of people will pass through here in the next couple of hours. But the only sign of activity on this Saturday lunchtime is indoors, the local pubs offering live coverage of the second test between the All Blacks and France.
First up is the All Black fullback Alan Hewson, who's never yet failed in a test on Eden Park.
With the rally at their doorstep, the people of Paparoa seem curiously unconcerned. Down the main street, most of the shops are shut, and at least one local proprietor prefers his usual Saturday afternoon procedure to the unexpected prospect of a crowded but profitable forecourt.
Well, we didn't realise they were coming through, to be quite honest, yeah.
And the shops are really here just mainly for farmers. We get a lot of passers-by through the Christmas period and holiday periods.
Have you made any special plans to cater for the rally crowd today?
No, because they were not supposed to be stopping here.
The pie warmer says it all. But for some of the early rally casualties, there are more serious problems. Will Orr of Whakatane has already rolled his Ford Escort, but is still going. Japan's Junichiro Kato is less fortunate. After hitting a bridge, he later rolls his Subaru and quits the rally on day one. Even Walter Roll, fastest driver on the opening stages, has been having mechanical difficulties. Big teams like the Audis go to extraordinary lengths to give their cars maximum protection from mechanical failure. There's a growing trend to provide the cars with aerial support. Squads of helicopters hovering behind the competitors like so many seagulls behind the farmer's plough. For the pilots, it makes an exciting change from aerial spraying and top dressing.
Well, this is the second rally that we've been following, and we're just following the Lancia team this year. Just following the car in case it has a breakdown. We're just carrying a support team with spare parts and tyres.
We're carrying mechanics around and pacing the cars, and if they break down, we sort of there on the spot to fix them.
There must be about 6 choppers here. Do you have to look out for each other?
It gets a bit tricky at times, yes.
By now, the rally has reached Paparoa. Competitors and support cars pass back and forth through the town to the various special stages that are being held in the surrounding country. The local petrol station didn't reopen, but its forecourt has become a convenient service bay for Malcolm Stewart and his backup crew. Just about everywhere you look, frantic mechanics appearing under bonnets and crawling under cars. This is Ray Wilson's Toyota Starlet. There's nothing wrong with it. This is just a routine between-stage checkup. Across the road, a more leisurely service stop. Michel Bagard heads the 4-car team from Tahiti. He's won a few rallies in France and Tahiti, but he's never driven his Renault 5 Turbo on anything but tar seal.
Well, no gravel and no so long special stage. Very good because we.
And the car is going well?
The car is good, but we have a small problem of temperature. We don't know why. But it's cold here. I don't understand.
His wife, Michelle, is also competing.
The first time I drive here.
Is it good?
In fact, it's her first drive in a rally anywhere. whereas New Zealanders have to compete in 4 previous events to qualify for the international.
I don't speak English. Thank you.
Some rally followers have halted briefly to watch another French challenge.
High risk and high-speed rugby from the Frenchmen.
The All Blacks win that one. But the main action is just outside Paparoa. This is Valterot, currently leading, but his rally is about to end. In the next stage, a mystery electrical fault puts him out of the event. Rallies are decided on special stages. There are 45 in the Sanyo. In essence, 45 separate races. Most of the stages are held on roads ordinary motorists would go out of their way to avoid. This is Bjorn Veldegaard in a Toyota Celica tackling Special Stage 8. The cars are timed over each of the stages, and at the end of the 4 days, the driver with the least accumulated time is the winner. Hannu Mikkola. The flashing under his car is a feature of the Audi's turbocharger. Back in Paparoa, if Inky Tulloch is searching for a pie, he's out of luck. Hungry service crews have cleaned out the local dairy. By early evening, an overextended chip fryer manned by an overworked cook is readying the last batch of hot dogs and chips.
It's been very busy. We've sold out of pies, and I've had to go to Mangataredo and get more hamburger buns to make hamburgers and potatoes to make more chips. It was a lot busier than we definitely envisaged. We're not complaining, though.
Car 17 has been complaining of an overheated engine. Michel Bagard's Tahitian challenge has ended on a back road out of Paparoa.
Many kilometers, many time, money.
Will you come again to the New Zealand Rally?
Yes, the rally is very
fantastic. Marvelous.
It was a big foot in special stage.
The end of Special Stage 12 and the end of the first day. A chance to check the leaders as they clock in at the final control point. Stig Blomqvist in another Audi took over the lead when Roell withdrew.
So far it's going well, but okay, you never know, it can change very quick.
In fact, the lead has changed already. In that final stage, teammate Hannu Mikkola has grabbed a 3-second lead over Blomqvist. It's the slenderest of margins after 250 kilometres of high-speed driving. Reg Cook is still the leading New Zealander, but closely pursued by Neil Allport.
Yeah, we've always felt that Neil was the strongest competitor that we had in this field because he's had experience pace noting before, and that helps. But I wouldn't discount Inky Tulloch at this stage either.
In fact, he can discount Inky Tulloch. Tulloch, the mayor of Mataura, has gone over the bank and out of the rally. And Adrian Landon Lane is uncertain how well he's driven the last stage.
Well, I thought I was a girl's blouse until we'll find out in a minute.
This last stage has been driven twice on the rally today. By comparing the times of the 2 runs, the drivers can tell whether they're getting faster or slower.
I am a girl's blouse. We're going 30 seconds slower. Oh, well, we're through Division 1 anyway. A lot of other people are.
Did you see Inky Tulloch in there at all?
Yeah, there's about 4,000 people. It must be every person who lives in Mataura is trying to push him out of the bank.
So at the end of leg 1, 11 of the 63 starters have already disappeared. Mikkola leads, Cook's the top Kiwi, and Possum Bourne heads the slightly modified car group. Sunday morning in Manukau City, and the setting for a special stage. For once, the cars will race along tar-sealed city streets. This opening stage of the second day has been designed to expose the sport of rallying to the uninitiated. The public relations exercise is clearly a success, as thousands arrive for a family outing. Some of the spectators aren't that interested. Others know exactly what they've come to see.
Come to watch the Audis and the Lanciers, but I've also come to watch my dad, who's in the Subaru. His name's Tony Teasdale.
Rally leader Hannu Mikkola leads the way. followed by teammate Stig Blomqvist. Marco Helen's Lancia. The speed of the car surprises many of the onlookers. Rally experts like Bjorn Valdegaard can make the Dukes of Hazzard look like defensive drivers. And Tony Teasdale in a Subaru gives his son something to watch. Then the rally heads south into the Maramarua Forest, which boasts some of the best rally roads in the country. Already the elaborate paraphernalia of rally organisation has been set up. Hundreds of volunteers control and marshal every element of this rally according to international rules. By the time the cars line up, everything is in order. Fresh tyres, Audi brought over 1,000 to New Zealand, have been put on the leading cars during the brief service breaks permissible between special stages. The cars start at 1-minute intervals. Competitors seldom see each other once inside the stages. Chasing Mikkola, and now poised to retake the lead, Stig Blomqvist. Jim Donald is a reluctant observer. He'd rather be driving. Last year, he was the highest placed New Zealander for a record 3rd time.
Well, if I'd done the first division and I was in a good place, like I was last year, then I guess you'd be very pleased with the way you're driven, and you'd have to try and go a little bit harder today because all the other drivers are obviously getting the feel of the roads and their cars, so they'll be trying harder as well.
This year, business commitments have kept Donald on the sidelines. Juha Kankkunen heads off into the forest in the second of the Toyotas. At 25, Kankkunen is the latest in an endless line of top rally drivers from Finland. The Toyotas are already finding it difficult to keep pace with the Audis and Lancia. Bjorn Valdegaard may be lying 4th, but he's already 2 minutes down. And Timo Salonen in 5th place. In the even less competitive Nissan is a further 4 minutes back. Keeping detailed track of the progress of the cars is a massive exercise in mobile radio communication. It's undertaken by the Amateur Radio Emergency Corps.
6658.
Yes, a training exercise for civil defence, for any form of emergency that might take up, that we can actually put communications up at a quick site, and it's good exercise for us too.
It's regarded as a good exercise too by the Red Cross, who cover the entire rally with special mobile units.
The first aid area is partly civil defence. The getting from A to B on time is very definitely part of our civil defence role. You know, it's quite a challenge sometimes to find your way to the middle of nowhere.
It's mainly dealing with spectators that seem to fall down banks and break their ankles and whatnot. We just hope we don't have to pull out somebody from a rally car, although we've got all the gear to do it and the first aid gear to do it. Our prime role is basically first care, first on the scene to stabilise the place and wait for the doctor to come along and give us a hand to get him out.
Rally injuries are rare. Even when they make mistakes, the drivers usually keep their cars on the road. That was Neil Allport. And this is Ian Stevenson from West Otago. By late afternoon, the rally is deep into the King Country. Soon it will turn east towards Rotorua, where the second leg is due to end. Hannu Mikkola still driving hard, but slipping further behind Stig Blomqvist. His 3-second lead has become a 27-second deficit. Timo Salonen needs a good performance here to retain his international ranking, but he too is slipping back behind the Audis and now trails by 8 minutes in 5th place. And leading Kiwi, Reg Cook, is under pressure too. Neil Allport is closing up. At the tail of the field, the mood is a little more relaxed. Michel Bagard from Tahiti is still going, just 1 place behind car 59 and Adrian Landon Lane.
If she ever goes off anywhere, there's a prang. We're having a prang right behind her.
Such chivalry may be permissible when you're in 40th place, but as dusk falls on the second day, the rally leaders have to be single-minded in their approach. The problems of gloom, dust, and now tiredness must be overcome in the pursuit of speed. Still the quickest, Stig Blomqvist. And in 3rd place, Marco Hélène is driving his Lancia hard to keep in touch with the Audis. In these twilight conditions, errors can happen in the most unexpected places. A rare mistake by the experienced Veldegard as he loses control on a straight section of road. Not everyone recovers from such mistakes. Brian Stokes has put his Ford Escort over a bank and into the swamp.
Just come off the outside and come down that bank.
It's been a frustrating day for the Kaiapoi driver, regarded as one of the young lions of the sport. 10th overnight, he lost 45 minutes in stage 16 and has been driving flat out this evening to climb back up the field.
Oh, if we had a bulldozer, we might get back on the road. The car would probably still go, but we're never going to get out of here unless we get some big artillery, I don't think.
So the rally ends for Brian Stokes in a swamp west of Tokoroa. Meanwhile, car 59 support crew, in a borrowed service vehicle, of course, waits for Adrian Landon Lane. For 2 of the crew, it's their first event. The Zambuto brothers say they're here simply because they love Fiats. For Mario and his older brother Alfonso, this is the ultimate test of their passion. Tony May is the experienced crewman. In a small crew like this, everyone mucks in, while co-driver Mike Smith works out the final stages of the leg. Everywhere around, similar scenes are being repeated as the surviving cars are checked over for the closing night stages before Rotorua. This is Franz Wittmann in his last stage. A broken conrod puts him out before Rotorua. Night driving suits Neil Allport, who's headed off Reg Cook as leading Kiwi. And Possum Bourne is building a comfortable lead in Group A. Bourne allegedly got his name from the number of marsupial victims his night driving claims. In Rotorua, it's Bourne's teammate Tony Teasdale who reports first at the Subaru Service Centre. About an hour of servicing is allowed before the cars are impounded for the night by rally marshals. Bourne and Teesdale may no longer have the assistance of Japanese driver Kato, but the Japanese service crew that flew in with him are still here. Language difficulties don't always permit the smoothest exchange of ideas.
Spring tangle. On other car. No good, Yuki, come out. Down.
While the mechanics check the cars, Bourne and Teesdale check their time.
I've got 10 minutes on Ray, and I'm 5 minutes, 50 seconds in front of you, so that means you've got 4 minutes on Ray.
Group A cars are only slightly modified. Apart from additional safety features, they're just like their counterparts on the showroom floor. Tony Teesdale's well pleased with the performance of his Subaru.
I think we're probably better than where we want to be, actually. We're looking at being in the top 10 now. I think for a Group A car, it's pretty good.
Bourne's been eating his way through brake shoes, but he's got an explanation.
I do a fair bit of left foot braking, which means I have my foot on the accelerator and my foot on the brake at the same time while I'm cornering, so I can take my foot off either one, whichever one I don't need. It probably sounds a bit strange to the average driver, but it definitely works, I can tell you.
At the halfway stage, Bourne leads Group A. Blomqvist leads overall, and Neil Allport is now leading New Zealand. An overnight frost has carpeted the countryside around Rotorua. It looks pretty, but the ice is an added hazard for the drivers at the start of the third day. At Lake Rotomar, the kids have been given the morning off to watch the rally go through. They've got their own ideas on how fast the cars will go.
The tires might fall off.
Why?
Because they're going too fast. They go too fast and they sting up and go.
On the icy roads, the Audi's four-wheel drive gives them a considerable edge. While Helen's Lancia clearly struggles to find traction in these conditions. Trouble, too, for leading New Zealander Neil Allport. In these early stages, he built a clear lead over Reg Cook, but in special stage 27, he blew his motor and was out of the rally. Special stage 27, heading inland from the Bay of Plenty coast, was to gain an international notoriety in this rally. It was also the stage that was to confirm Stig Blomqvist as the likely winner of the Sanyo. Starting at the head of the field, he remained totally unaware of the drama taking place on the road behind him. Only 5 seconds separated the Audis of Blomqvist and Hannu Mikkola at the start of 27. With Mikkola attacking, the leadership of the rally was wide open. Shortly before the end of the stage, Mikkola pushed too hard, hit a hole, and rolled his Audi. A resulting oil fire in the engine compartment, and but for the presence of helicopter support, Mikkola's rally would have been over. Scurrying mechanics extinguished the fire, carried out emergency repairs, and had the vehicle moving again in just 12 minutes. By the next stage, crumpled and battered, car 4 was again racing. Benefiting from Mikula's 12-minute delay was Marco Elen, who moved into a comfortable second place. Timo Salonen was looking good in Special Stage 27 until near the end, when he too turned the car over. Luckily, the Nissan landed on its wheels. Salonen went on to record third fastest time. Not so lucky was the young Finn Kankunen. His excursion had more permanent results, as co-driver Fred Gallagher explains.
We dropped a wheel in a small hole at the side of the road and got a bit out of sequence for the next couple of corners, and spun and rolled backwards off the edge of the road and fell about 10 or 15 meters, and the car actually wasn't damaged. The suspension was all fine, but we needed a tow truck to pull us out.
So Kankunen becomes another victim of Special Stage 27. But no such trouble for the Group A leaders. Fossomborn has an incident-free run to take him to 7th place overall. And Tony Teasdale and the other Subaru second in Group A and now 9th overall. To the west of Rotorua, in the Waiotapu forest, the organisational machine rolls on, readying the stages for the afternoon. This is the arrowing party, led by Papakura tiling contractor Brett Naraga. This has to be the most curious of jobs for a rally enthusiast to take on, moving ahead of the rally, driving in hundreds of directional arrows. He seldom comes in contact with the actual event.
Yeah, well, most certainly, you're usually so far ahead that you never hardly ever see any cars. Occasionally, when we've actually finished, we sometimes come back, circle back, and manage to see the odd few that are left running.
Next step for the rally machine, the survey car checking each stage is correctly marked. Kevin Lancaster, surveying this stage, is the man who organised the whole event, planning the route and supervising an army of volunteers.
I'm fully backed up by an extremely devoted and hard-working organising committee of people who give up their time voluntarily to help us run this event. And backing them up is another 1,500 or so volunteers who take time off work and give up their family time and leisure time to come out and marshal on the event and make the whole thing possible.
Before the rally cars are set loose, a warning car is sent through to ensure the road is clear. This isn't the time for polite requests.
Get the bloody thing off the road.
By sunset, Special Stage 30 is ready for action. Blomqvist still leads. Alain still holds second place. And Reg Cook is the front-running New Zealander. Starting to look and sound a little worse for wear, car 59 is heading for the end of day 3.
We lost a bit of time in there. It's really cold. We had to stop and chip a dog off a fence post. It's bad news. It's going to get colder still, I reckon. We're having fun, though. Glad to be here. Thank you. Night-night.
Back in Rotorua, another round of frantic servicing is underway. With Kankinen out, Toyota has only Valdegaard left in the rally, and he dropped to 5th place today because of fuel problems. Toyota have brought their European support crew with them. In this case, familiarity breeds efficiency. Rally cars now are a sophisticated and complex mixture of mechanical power and electronic control.
Oh, they are great, the mechanics. They are working 100% for the team, and you know, rallying is a teamwork, and without mechanics we shouldn't be very successful. We don't need to smash the cars really, but they do change everything possible anyway, every time.
Across town, Audi's German mechanics are descending on their 2 surviving cars.
Adam brings me honey. It is not on my way.
Still a long way to go, so everything can happen.
Blomqvist's standing as a top driver is matched only by his reputation for short interviews. A fuller assessment comes from the man who navigates for Hannu Mikkola, Arne Hertz.
We are quite far behind Marco, so it will be very difficult for us to catch him. And I think Stig has a very good lead, so he has nothing to worry about. He has to try to get the car to Auckland.
Blomqvist's car is in good order. Mikkola's needs substantial repair work, some requiring precision, some requiring brute force. It's easier for the car to be repaired than it is for Mikkola to make up the time lost by his accident. He's now driving much faster than anyone else, but is still some way back in 3rd place. Right now, the main requirement is for the car to be right for tomorrow.
We can change everything else except body and engine. You know, we can change the suspension, we can change the gearbox, clutch, differential, drive shafts. Quite a lot.
So Mikkola lies 3rd behind Alain and Stig Blomqvist, and only 38 cars are left to start the final leg back to Auckland. Final day, and the rally has come down to 2 head-to-head contests. The battle for 2nd place. Alain holds a 4-minute advantage. But with Mikkola chasing, even that margin may not be enough. The reigning world champion demonstrates why he's called the Flying Finn as he clocks up a succession of stage records. Then the battle for first New Zealand. Reg Cook at one stage had a 9-minute cushion over Malcolm Stewart. But Stewart has now closed the gap to less than 2 minutes. By mid-morning, Alain and Mikkola's battle for 2nd place has not been resolved. Mikkola has put up the fastest times in all of the first 6 stages, but both drivers are beginning to feel the pressure of driving flat out. Alain has hit a bank. He didn't lose much time. And the Audi has been close to the edge too. Finally, Mikkola decides the risk outweighs the result, and he settles for 3rd place. But the pressure is still on Reg Cook. He hasn't shaken off the challenge of Malcolm Stewart. Furthermore, Cook is now under instructions from Nissan to eliminate risks and concentrate on finishing for the sake of the team. Stewart is finding these tough King Country stages hard going.
I don't know, it's very slippery in there, and our back tyres just couldn't last the distance, you know, and we just lost ground, I think.
In fact, he's just closed the gap slightly. Cook's lead is less than 2 minutes. Around the corner, Italian mechanics are hastily reassembling the Lancia's front end. Alain may have a stranglehold on second place, but first he has to finish the rally. Alain, meanwhile, is bemoaning the fact that Lancia's proposed four-wheel drive rally car isn't already competing.
A little bit wet. Yeah. Oh, I see. I am out. Yeah. Completely out.
These mechanics are adaptable fellows. When all else fails, they reach for the sticky tape. Even the disgruntled Alain manages a smile at that. The ritzy sporting lines of the Lancia are not exactly enhanced by this mechanical first aid, but the car is now ready for the run home. These closing stages take the rally into some of the most isolated rural areas of the central North Island. But even here, the enthusiastic or the simply curious gather at strategic corners. Don't believe the locals. These roads are a real test of rally skills.
These are good roads.
Well, we got used to them. We've been here 36 years and, well, just about been the same all that time, so been no difference all those years.
Well, leading the rally is a guy called Stig Blomqvist. If you were able to give him a bit of advice about how to drive these roads, what would you tell him?
Watch the animals.
That'd be quite right.
I watched it last year and I thought it was fantastic.
Not every day you see it. Yeah. School's closed and all, so it's a good sign.
No rural mail today.
Oh, that's another thing that's mucked up here.
So Blomqvist heads for Auckland, secure in the knowledge that 5 minutes separates him from his nearest rival. Marco Alain, the pressure's off him too. Anu Mikula, now content with third place. Reg Cook trying to obey team orders and keep Malcolm Stewart at bay. Stewart has now closed the gap to just 1 minute and 17 seconds, but he's running out of stages. And secure at the head of Group A, Possum Ball. At the end of the final stage, back in the Maramarua forest, there's an air of celebration among marshals and spectators. Whoever the winner, the rally organization had triumphed. In fact, the winner hadn't been in doubt throughout the final day. Stig Blomqvist hadn't been fastest in any of the final 10 stages. He hadn't needed to be. He was as economic with his driving as he always is with his words.
It has been very nice roads. Okay, maybe we was lucky with the weather and made the road conditions even better.
So as the surviving cars pull in, the final placings of the Sanyo emerge. Tony Teasdale. His 5th international event, but his first in the Subaru. Impressive driving to finish in the top 10. Teammate Possum Vaughan.
Oh, it was a great rally, eh?
It was a great rally for the Pukekohe truck driver, his 2nd international and his 2nd Group A victory. Malcolm Stewart. He couldn't catch Reg Cook and had to settle for 2nd New Zealander home. Reg Cook. First New Zealander home and his highest overall placing in an international rally. With full works team support, he was too strong for the other locals. Bjorn Valdegaard. Toyota's top cars didn't do too well, but some compensation in having 10 Corollas and Starlets finish the rally further down the order. Timo Salonen.
Yes, I'm very happy.
Nissan were happy too. Salonen and Cook put on a strong team performance. Hannu Mikkola. Mikkola was the fastest driver on 21 special stages, 8 more than the eventual winner. But for his rollover, he would have been hard to beat. Marco Alain. His second place just keeps him in touch with this season's World Championship. But in this rally, his Lancia never looked like heading off the Audis. So Stig Blomqvist collects his 3rd World Championship victory of the season and looks odds-on favourite to take the title for the first time. Not quite in the Champagne League, but a notable performance. Michelle Bagard finishes the Sanyo International in her first ever rally drive. By now, the victory celebrations are over and the crowds head home. Everyone's accounted for, except car 59. As the ceremonies wind down, 59 service crew arrives with news of a grim final day.
Alfonso, where is he? Where's Adrian?
He's still getting here. Last time we heard him, it was the bottom of the Bombay Hills. That was around about 20 minutes ago.
Is he going to make it?
We hope so. Hope so. Everything was well when they finished. We've done our best to get him here, and we hope he gets here. Broken rear axle. The chassis starting to split up a bit, so we're front chassis rail's broken. Top sway bar on the rear axle is broken. 4 punctures. 4 punctures today. Right. So we've had a hell of a day. Well, we've got through, and everything will be okay, hopefully, if they get here.
They do get here, limping in at the end of the field. And after it's all over, an unexpectedly honest appraisal from Adrian Landon Lane.
It wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it. It was just too hard, too tough. You know, do it the way we did with everybody who just helped as best they could. I don't know, it's just, it's hard work, you know, but if you want to play with the big boys, you can't cry when you get hurt. But we did a lot of crying today. I'll be back next year with 10 times the budget and a car that's down to the weight limit with the right amount of power and a slippery diff and enough tyres. But otherwise, I think it's a oncer to do it like this because I'd only do what I did again. It's come in last.
But his troubles aren't all over yet.
The battery's dead flat. She's dead flat.
Car 59 finishes the Sanyo Rally the way in which it started, with a lot of help from its friends.
"12,000 miles away from the centre of World Championship rallying lies New Zealand. A country of only 3 million people and without a motor manufacturing industry of its own, it nevertheless plays host to one of the qualifying rounds in the World Championship Series. The New Zealand Rally has had a troubled past as regards its World Championship status. In one year, out the next, then back in again. The politics of the sport have perhaps played too big a part in its history. And for all that, it remains essentially a good event, offering superb special stages, not unlike Finland, competent organisation linked to a degree of hospitality and genuine friendship found on few other World Championship rallies. The 1984 event was held entirely in the North Island and consisted of 4 separate legs with an overnight halt at the end of each one, which made for a very civilised event. Main spectator interest at scrutineering was, of course, the 3-car entry from Audi for Roll, Mikkola and Blomqvist. That the gravel roads would suit the Audis was never in doubt. The talking point prior to the start, however, was who would be allowed to lead. Stig is Audi's hope for World Championship drivers' honours, but as we have seen in the past, as far as Walter Roll is concerned, team orders sometimes get forgotten in the heat of battle, particularly if Walter is in the lead. Lancia had a single entry for Marco Alain, a token gesture to please Marco, serviced from a collection of hired vans and lacking the huge, impressive effort one normally associates with a Lancia equipe on other World Championship events. Marco, however, was his usual smiling self and was aware that although his entry lacked the resources he usually has at his disposal, the commitment from himself and the small band of loyal mechanics would never be less than 100%. Toyota came to New Zealand 2 years ago and finished a remarkable first and second with their Celicas. They are aware that this year they would have to produce something remarkable to get a similar result. For whilst the cars certainly have the power, there seems to be no substitute these days for 4-wheel drive. Their drivers, Valdegaard and Kankkunen, can somehow surprise the pundits with good results against seemingly impossible odds. Witness Valdegaard's win on this year's Safari Rally. Realistically, however, they know that New Zealand is a totally different type of event from Safari, and their chances must be slim. Other leading entries were received from Nissan for Timo Salonen and local driver Reg Cook, Franz Wittmann in his rather battered Quattro, as well as a host of top New Zealand crews, anxious to prove that they could compete on terms with the overseas drivers. Whilst New Zealand only has a population of 3 million, most of them, it seems, are motorsport enthusiasts, and crowds gathered at every junction and every service halt to watch the rally. Roll is first into view and is setting a blistering pace despite having only 2-wheel drive, due to problems on stage 1, when a brake caliper broke, jamming a rear wheel and damaging the differential. Valdegaard is putting the power down to good effect in the Celica Turbo, but like Roll, had puncture problems on stage 1. Blomqvist is settling in well, with no problems so far, and although not setting faster stage times, is still only seconds behind rally leader Roll. The third team Audi of Mikkola had also fallen foul of the puncture-provoking rocks on stage 1. He collected 2 flats and dropped over 20 seconds to teammate Roll. Salonen in the Nissan 240 RS can always be expected to entertain the crowds, but is realistic enough to know his chances of overall honours are slim. Marco Alain in the lone 037 Lancia gets awfully close to the bridge in his efforts to keep in touch with the Audis, and indeed is to set 3 fastest times during the day, albeit on the shorter, twistier stages. Juha Kankkunen, partnered by British co-driver Fred Gallagher, is playing himself in very steadily. Not having had the chance to practice his pace note at rally speed results in 1 or 2 spins, but he is nevertheless well inside the top 10. Local crews, Reg Cook in the Nissan 240 RS, Malcolm Stewart in the RS 1800 and Neil Alport in another RS 1800 battle it out for top local honours, with Cook and Alport exchanging odd seconds and Stewart a distant third. Over from Tahiti, but not making any impression, and indeed proving an embarrassment seated at number 18, was Michel Bagard in a Renault 5 Turbo. Stage 5, 25 kilometres of mainly gravel stage, with the odd piece of tarmac thrown in to keep crews and spectators on their toes. Special Stage 7. Roll is yet again quickest, making his tally of fastest stage times 5, to hold the lead. Behind him in second place, Mikkola, who has had one fastest stage time to his credit. Blomqvist completes the trio of quattros with a remarkably steady and trouble-free run. Holding fourth place at this point, Alain, with one fastest score on the fourth stage. Valdegaard is pacing himself well, albeit well over a minute behind Alain. He has a similar amount of time over teammate Kankkunen. Behind the Toyotas are the Nissans of Salonen and Cook. Salonen revelling in the fast-flowing stages, which suits his sideways style of driving. Stewart and Alport continue to battle it out, with Alport slowly pulling ahead. Blair Robson in the Mitsubishi Turbo is putting in a consistent performance to hold a place in the lower half of the top 20. With dusk falling, crews tackle stage 8 on the run back towards Auckland. Roll sets yet another fastest time to consolidate his lead. Valdegaard is over 20 seconds slower on this 23-kilometre stage. Blomqvist and Mikkola share identical times, with Mikkola just ahead overall by mere seconds. Alain is only 15 seconds behind Blomqvist to hold fourth place. With the pressure really on, the slightest error will be punished. Salonen is pushing hard to try and reel in Kankkunen, but without too much effect. The young Toyota driver maintaining his pace and managing to stay ahead. Whitman is mixing it with the Toyotas and Nissans, and although never producing startling stage times, is holding a top 10 position. The battling Kiwis, Cook, Stewart and Alport, are still hard at it, but they have a new challenger in the shape of number 23, Brian Stokes, in yet another RS 1800. A roadside service area after stage 10 near Matakana. First car to reach the Audi mechanics is Blomqvist. Of rally leader Walter Roll there is no sign, and soon reports are heard over the team radios that he has been seen stopped at the side of the road on the previous stage. Mikkola too arrives for a quick top-up with petrol, but there is still no sign of Roll. It does in fact take over 90 minutes to complete the stage, when the sophisticated Motronic black box that controls the electrics on the Quattro fail. He manages to struggle out of the stage, but was so far behind it wasn't worth continuing. Blomqvist is now the rally leader. For Toyota, servicing is fairly routine. There have been no major dramas other than Valdegaard having brake failure on one stage, when the fluid escaped through a leaking nipple. Kankkunen has settled down after his early spins, now getting in tune with his pace notes. At the end of the first leg, crews arrived back at the Travelodge Hotel, Auckland. Blomqvist's lead was short-lived, and his teammate Mikkola, who leads crews into the overnight halt, only 3 seconds ahead of Stig, having snatched the number 1 place over the final stage. Alain is in third place, 23 seconds further back, but he has a comfortable buffer of over 2 minutes to leading Toyota driver Valdegaard, who has a 2-minute gap to teammate Kankkunen. Sunday morning dawns bright and sunny for the start of the second leg of the rally, which consists of 10 stages south of Auckland, totaling 200 kilometres, en route to an overnight halt in Rotorua. The first stage is purely a spectator affair, around the tarmac roads of the industrial estate and shopping precinct of Manukau City. As the Audi team change onto slick tyres immediately before the stage, their crews appear in a relaxed and confident mood, as well they might, knowing the advantage that four-wheel drive gives them over the fast-flowing gravel stages en route to Rotorua. Whilst the majority of spectator interest is centred around the leading works crews, the battle behind them for class honours is no less intense, particularly for the Group A award. This is being led very effectively by the four-wheel drive Subaru of Possum Bourne, who has teammates Tony Teasdale and Bruce Powell backing him up well. Toyota Starlets are very popular in New Zealand, not surprising since Toyota support the class with a generous bonus scheme. Leading exponent in this class is Ray Wilson, who is holding a position around 16th, much to the embarrassment of some of the more powerful cars in the event. Stage 17, and it's still Mikkola first on the road, although in fact now relegated to second place after a hard charge by Blomqvist. Just how hard can be judged by the rear end hanging off the Quattro. Elaine still hangs on to third spot, but is slipping further and further behind the Audis. Valdegaard too is consistent and remains in fourth place, but on the previous stage, Mystery Creek, teammate Kankinen had the prop shaft break, and only prompt attention by mechanics sent into the stage to repair the Toyota kept him in the hunt. He has, however, dropped to 9th place. Salonen is flinging the Nissan about in determined style, and with Kankinen's problems is now into 5th place. Whitman is plugging on in his battle-scarred Quattro in 6th position, whilst Possum Bourne continues to lead Group A in the Subaru. The wide gravel expanse of stage 18 shows the power of the Quattros off in fine style as Mikkola rockets into view, showering stones in all directions. Next through is Blomqvist, in the lead and proving a point by being 12 seconds quicker than anyone else. Marco Elaine looks to be on the ragged edge in the Lancia, and although posting third fastest time, is 23 seconds slower than Blomqvist. Valdegaard powers the Toyota down the straight, leaving his braking until the last minute in an effort to extract the maximum from the car. He nevertheless drops 2 seconds to Franz Whitman's Quattro. Sadly, this will be the last we shall see of Whitman, as he is soon to retire with a blown engine. As a beautiful sunset heralds yet another splendid day ahead, crews tackle 3 stages through the dark before the overnight halt in Rotorua. Just after the start of stage 19, Valdegaard sensed something was wrong with the Toyota steering. An exciting moment bouncing off a bank and into a ditch convinced him that something was definitely amiss. It was not the steering, however, it was the panhard rod that had broken. At the next service, a complete axle assembly is fitted, and Bjorn is still secure in 4th place. At the Audi service point in Rotorua, Mikkola arrives, having taken some time back off Blomqvist on the last few stages into the overnight halt. Mikkola's only problem during this second leg had been when the boost pressure had dropped on his engine, and he had lost a little time. But once this was cured, he attacked Blomqvist's times with a vengeance. The gentleman's agreement to allow the leader a free run, whilst the second man kept a buffer between him and Elaine, looked a little tenuous. Blomqvist arrives knowing his lead is down to only 7 seconds, and whilst Hanu has gone off to relax and enjoy a coffee in the warmth of the garage office, Stig prowls around his car, even helping mechanics to get his lighting set up exactly as he wants them. For Toyota, the frantic activity belies the air of real calm in the local Toyota dealership, as gearboxes, axles and suspension units are changed on the Celicas. Other than Kankinen's prop shaft and Valdegaard's panhard rod, the Toyotas are enjoying a good run. Tyre wear problems, which have beset the team in the past, are thankfully not happening. After 10 more stages on day 2, the leading Quattros are locked together. Elaine, 2 minutes in arrears, has a comfortable gap to Valdegaard. Further down, Neil Alport has clawed his way past Reg Cook to be first Kiwi, while Possum Bourne has got the Group A Subaru into 10th spot. Another bright sunny morning and the start of day 3 of the 1984 Sanyo New Zealand Rally. So far the weather has been perfect and the competition has matched it. An early morning frost coats the rally cars as they line up in Parc Fermé alongside Lake Rotorua. 12 more stages lie ahead today, totalling 322 kilometres. The first stage out from Rotorua is one of 7 due to be held in the Rotorua Forest Complex. The stages here are more sandy than those previously used and will definitely favour the Quattros. Stage 25 is narrow and twisty, with an air almost of a tropical jungle, as crews thread their way through the dense vegetation. The Quattros again set first and second fastest times, with Elaine in third place. Team Toyota Europe boss Ove Anderson joins the crowd to see his crews in action, and only 2 seconds separate them, Kankkunen being the fastest. The 2 Nissan 240 RSs are still there, although not making an impression on either of the 2 Toyotas. The 2 RS 1800s of Alport and Stewart are also still battling it out, with Alport drawing ahead, beating Stewart on this stage by 14 seconds. The real drama lies ahead, however, on stage 27. Mikkola, pushing Blomqvist hard, had closed the gap to 1 second. Then Blomqvist fought back to take 5 seconds back off him. On stage 27 it all came to naught when Mikkola clipped the inside of a bend and had a slow roll, putting the Quattro onto its roof. Fortunately, the Audi support helicopter is hovering overhead, and willing hands soon have it back onto its wheels again. The problems don't end there. A small fire starts after oil has been sprayed onto the turbo. The resultant time loss drops Hannu 1 place to lie 8 minutes behind Elaine. Timo Salonen also has cause to remember stage 27. He rolls twice but comes to rest on his wheels, and remarkably, despite the revised bodyline, sets second fastest time. The most serious casualty was Juha Kankkunen. Concentrating perhaps too hard on catching Stewart's escort and listening to Fred Gallagher's notes, he bounces 3 or 4 times off the banks before rolling slowly 30 feet down a ravine. He was fortunate the trees held him, as it was a further 80 feet to the river in the bottom. Help was soon on hand, and whilst a recovery Land Rover took the strain to prevent the rally car from sliding further down the slope, a more substantial breakdown truck was brought up to retrieve the car. Much pushing and heaving soon had it back on its wheels, and back onto the track. Remarkably, there was relatively little damage, and once some fresh Duckham's oil was poured into the engine, it fired up and the crew were to drive it back to the Rotorua rest halt. There only remains a further 5 stages south of Rotorua before the overnight halt and the final day of the rally. For the remaining Toyota of Valdegard, a niggling electrical problem had to be rectified. Every time the spotlights are flicked on, all the lights go out. As the Toyota mechanics swarm over the car, they soon have things sorted. Perhaps a question of many hands make light work. Bjorn had earlier lost over 10 minutes on the infamous stage 27, replacing a fuel injection pipe, and he was now behind Salonen. The leaderboard shows Stig with a healthy lead. Marco too looks to have a secure second place. there is little hope that Valdegaard will catch Salonen, nor indeed, barring problems, that any of the other placings will alter. Possum-Bourne has now moved into 8th spot with the Group A Subaru, and Blair Robson makes his first appearance in the top 10. The final day, and competitors have to tackle the only Ford on the rally on stage 39. Blomqvist takes no chances as he eases through the water splash, much to the disappointment of the spectators, who include the local school, given the day off just to watch the rally. Fortunately, the other crews aren't so timid. As the sun begins to fall, there remains only 2 more stages en route to the rally finish back in Auckland. Blomqvist, still at the head of the field, is content to let Alain and Mikkola fight for the fastest stage times, knowing he's sufficiently in the lead and only mechanical problems can rob him of victory. Salonen too knows the gap to Valdegaard is too much to worry about being overtaken, and indeed most crews are content to motor at 8/10 towards the finish. Cook has managed to consolidate his #1 Kiwi place and is naturally reluctant to risk losing it. The finish ramp at the Travelodge Hotel Auckland at the end of 4 days and nearly 1,100 kilometres of stages. Possum-Bourne and Mike Eggleton bring their 4-wheel drive Subaru home in 8th place and first Group A, a popular victory for the likeable Kiwi. Reg Cook finishes first Kiwi, however, in 6th place, after his rally-long battle with Malcolm Stewart. 5th overall, Bjorn Valdegaard and Hans Thorselius, not destined to repeat their win of 2 years ago. The fuel injection problems on the 3rd day costing them a certain 4th place. In 4th spot, Timo Salonen and Seppo Hayanei, who despite their role never gave up and entertained in fine style with their sideways driving technique. 3rd overall, Hannu Mikkola and Arne Hertz, who also never gave up hope right to the end that they could catch Marco Alain. Unfortunately, their roll and subsequent fire on stage 27 cost them too much time to make up. 2nd overall, a delighted Marco Alain, partnered by Ilkka Kivimäki. Their Lancia 037 ran faultlessly throughout the event. They are aware, however, that 4-wheel drive is necessary to win, and leave no one in any doubt that when the new 4-wheel drive Lancia Delta arrives on the rally scene in 1985, that's exactly what they will be doing. For Stig Blomqvist and Bjorn Cederberg, winning the 1984 Sanyo New Zealand Rally was a just reward after their cruel disqualification from the 1983 event. They had driven a well-judged and trouble-free event, and richly deserved the applause of the crowd at the end of a first-class performance on a first-class rally.